This is my second time to visit Miami, and I heard from David Zhen this is a temple belonging to Vietnamese friends, Buddhist friends. And the abbot of this temple is Venerable Jin. He happened to be my old friend in Taiwan. I know him very well. As soon as I saw the picture, I recognized. For any place to start the first practice in Mahayana Buddhism, I think it's important to give the teaching of Kristigaba Sutra, which is to help you establish mentally and spiritually to prepare yourself. So I'm going to tell you particularly a new place just about to start Buddha Dhamma. I think this is a very important sutra. So I want to tell this to you for the next few nights. To practice Buddha Dhamma, we must first have a proper understanding of the Dhamma. Otherwise, we will not get the proper result. It will be very shameful. Therefore, we need to start from the very beginning to explain what is Buddha Dhamma and make a simplified report or summarized report on what is the Buddha Dhamma. The founder of Buddhism is Buddha Sakyamuni, and according to the history, as you all know, he was born in northern India, and that is at the Chinese Zhou dynasty between the Emperor Zhou Zhaowang and the Emperor Zhou Mu Wang, and he lived about 79 years of age. He has dedicated his life to teach Buddhism for about 49 years. And after he entered into Nirvana, 1,000 years later, Buddhism transmitted into mainland China, that is the whole Han Dynasty time. We first need to understand what is Buddha and what is Dhamma, what is Buddha Dhamma, and what is Buddhism. First of all, Buddha is the name translated from ancient Sanskrit, which means wisdom and enlightenment, and many other meanings. But why don't we just call out wisdom and enlightenment instead of call Buddha? Because Buddha has numerous meanings. If we only use these two key words, wisdom and enlightenment, it's not sufficient to describe such a being, great being. So we simply follow the same name called Buddha, and with explanation. The meaning of Buddha can be explained from the essence and also from its function point of view. From its essence, it basically means wisdom. From the aspect of function, it means realization or enlightenment. Let's talk about the essence of wisdom, which includes three types of wisdom. That's so-called or wisdom, or prajna. Or the second category of wisdom, also contained in the essence, is the true seed wisdom. And the third type of wisdom contained in essence is called all seeds wisdom. I'm translating from the word literally. So to give interpretation, we have the meaning for the first one of all-knowing wisdom, which means to thoroughly and properly understand the truth of the whole universe. The second one, the true two-seed wisdom means to understand not only the phenomena of the universe, but knowing how was the things created, processed, and finally what are the results. To know them precisely, that's called the two-seed wisdom. And the last one is all seeds wisdom, is to perfectly understand the whole universe and life without a doubt, without erroneous observation. From the aspect of function point of view, Buddha means the great enlightenment. It also has three categories to describe the enlightenment: self-enlightenment, enlighten others, and perfect enlightenment of all, self and others. That three categories. The first one, to totally enlightened, can be achieved by the Theravada Buddhists. They reach so-called arahanthood. They have perfect enlightenment for individual. For the Mahayana Buddhists, when they reach enlightenment, they also have tremendous compassion to help others to be enlightened. For those who has desire to be enlightened, he will help them. That is, to enlighten others. And the third is a perfect enlightenment of all. That is, to enlighten oneself and enlighten others, and such activity has reached its perfection. Just like Christianity said, the all-knowing Almighty God. And that is also true for Buddha. His action to enlighten others has reached a perfect state. That is what we call Buddha. And what did he enlighten about? In the Flower Adorned Sutra, it says all sentient beings has Buddha nature, has capability and potentiality to become enlightened, and as a matter of fact, are originally Buddhas. However, due to wandering thoughts and attachment, we lost our Buddha nature and become the unenlightened sentient beings. Therefore, the suffering of infinite cycle of life and death, so-called reincarnation, the vexations in daily life, all come from the problem pointed out in Buddha's statement. That is, wandering thoughts and attachment. If one can remove a little bit of wandering thoughts and attachment, one will gain a little bit of freedom. If one can completely remove wandering thoughts and attachment, then one returns to the original enlightened Buddha nature. When we say Buddha Dharma together, which means the great enlightenment and great wisdom, that is the Buddha aspect, and the object of Buddha means all things and all activities. That is the meaning of Dharma. And Dharma does not mean just 10,000 things, 10,000 people, beings, and 10,000 activities. But that 10,000 in Chinese is just to indicate infinite, numerous. So when we say small or mini world, small body like a part of a hair can be that small. When we say miniature world, which can be very small, where the small body is relying upon or live in. One is the subject, one is the environment, the subject is living or dwelling on. But no matter the subject or object, no matter how small, these are all considered in a broader sense as Dharma. So, the enlightenment and wisdom is infinity. The object of enlightenment, called Dharma, also are infinity. And that together means Buddha, Dharma. And we must know all these, although infinity in nature, are nothing but your ultimate nature, the Buddha nature. It's all coming out from there. There's another concept which may be difficult to understand. The subject, which is the enlightened being, the great Buddha, and the Dharma, which is all the object that the enlightened being is enlightened about. All things, all beings, and all activities, all phenomena, they are in one and not two, not opposing against each other. Therefore, if you use your philosophical mind, try to figure out, and you'll see it makes sense. If the subject and object are dualistic against each other and not in one, then the enlightened self cannot enlighten all the subject, because they are opposing, they are not part of you. But the subject and object are ultimately one. Then when you perfect yourself, then the phenomenon which is part of yourself becomes totally clear. Then you know from the philosophical point of view, it only makes sense if they are one. If they are two or three, they are opposing against each other, then the enlightenment and the subject-object will become broken into pieces. It cannot be totally in one without obstacles. That's why in the Flower Adorned Sutra, it says the complete whole truth, the Dharma universe, the Dharma Dhatu, or the universe, is one complete whole truth. And that is to say the subject-object are completely in one, and there's no opposing or dualistic states. And the Pure Land of ultimate bliss, where Buddha Amitabha is there, that Pure Land is also belong to and not away from the complete one whole truth. In 1923, there's a great scholar and Buddhism teacher, Mr. Ouyang Jingwu. He has established a Buddhism Institute, the Chinese Buddhism Institute. He has educated numerous great teachers, and they have a strong influence because they are educated in that institute. In 1923, this great master, teacher, and scholar, Ouyang Jingwu, he has made a public speech in Zhongshan University in Canton. He basically said, Buddhism is not religion, it is not philosophy, and he provided tremendous evidence and reasons. And if you have interest to study why, the article was collected by Mr. Wang, and it's in Chinese and it's available. Buddhism, the definition of Buddhism is Buddha's education, and it's not a religion from its original meaning. Because the content of this education are infinite. From time point of view, it covers past, present, and the future. From the space point of view, it covers all universe, all infinite universe, and not just what happened on Earth. So it is a wisdom education. The famous Confucius of China, he is a great educator, but he teaches people how to be a good being in this world for just one lifetime, the current life. Don't mention about the past lives or the future lives. But Buddha's education covers 3 times: the past, the present, and the future. So you may wonder, Buddhism, not a religion, but it's an education. Is that really true? Well, I'll give you the examples from many aspects, and to explain why it is really, or originally, it was for education. The title we call Sakyamuni is the original teacher Buddha Sakyamuni. That title we mention pretty frequent in Chinese, among Chinese Buddhists. That already tell you clearly it is the teacher. It's a great teacher to teach you everything, and it's an original teacher that's capable to do that. It's the founder of such education. We call him the original teacher, Buddha Sakyamuni. And the so-called disciple is not a proper translation. In Chinese, we call that 弟子, which literally means, in ancient Chinese, the student. So, this relationship in Buddhism is really the teacher and student, and not a religion. There's nothing like God to be worshipped and disciple who follow God's words. That kind of relation is not in original Buddhism's educational viewpoint or system. And then, what is the relationship between the so-called student, the Buddhists, and other great Bodhisattvas? The Bodhisattvas are classmates or students also. They are senior students ahead of us. We are the junior students. That's why we are the students of original teacher Buddha Sakyamuni. That kind of relationship. And I also want to point out other terminology. From that, you know, it was nothing like religious sense. It was all for education. The so-called monk is not a good translation. In Chinese, it's called a 和尚. 和尚 means the direct mentor who provide direct teachings, like your personal guiding professor teach you a thesis on a frequent basis. That's the original meaning of 和尚. And the other type of teacher is called asali, which means in the same school there are more than one teacher, but those who do not teach you directly, however, their statement, their actions and activities can be used as a sample. Good example for you are called asali. That's basically teacher in an indirect sense. And then look at another evidence of so-called temple. It is actually a place for education and a place of museum. So in ancient time, it was already providing artistic teaching approach of artistic teaching in the temple. It was not really for worship. And I will explain in detail why it was like a museum, why it's like a classroom.
那么从寺院的组织也能看出来啊，跟现在的学校完全相同。和尚就相当于一个校长一样，一个寺院只有一个人称和尚，不可以说每一个出家人称和尚，那就错了，那完全错了。只有一个人称和尚，和尚是主持教学政策的，比如课程他安排的，老师是他请的，这个是和尚的责任，他是校长。下面呢有3个帮助他的人，佛家称为纲领之士，就是底下有3个，这个分3个部门。第一个呢是管教务的，叫首座和尚，首座管教；维诺管训导，监院管总务。你看看，我们只是名词不相同，实际上他管的事情啊，跟你们现在学校里面像这个教务训导总务啊，没有两样它的结构啊，确确实实是一个学校而且是一个非常完整的学校。这就是我们中国过去的这些丛林实际上用现在的话来讲，就是佛教大学。
首座是教务
对，
维纳是训导。好，先念总务。对。From the system and its terminology, it clearly stated it is an educational system. The monk, translated originally, should be translated as a monk. Monk is general term of a priest. The Hesang is what we call in the temple, and there's only one person can be called Hesang, which is equivalent to principal of any school, and there's only one principal. Person in charge of all the educational systems and have all the ultimate responsibility. And under him, there are three executive Hesang, three executive personnel. It's called a 首座和尚, who is in charge of the teaching activities. And the second one is 维那和尚, who is in charge of the students' conduct. And the third one is called 监院和尚, who is in charge of all other miscellaneous things and activities.
那三个叫阿舍离。
Oh, it's not called it's called 首座阿舍离 in charge of the teaching activities, and 维那阿舍离 in charge of personal conduct, and then 监院阿舍离 in charge of all other miscellaneous things. And this so-called temple is really, in ancient time, looking by the structure and system like a Buddhist university. So since ancient time, the Buddhism was designed and was always supposed to be an educational system. Unfortunately, today it appears on earth in 4 different types, and they've been deviated from the original intention and educational system. We talk about 2 kinds first, and then the other last 2 we're going to mention. The ancient time, there are 8 hours for the student in the temple university to study about philosophy and theory, and then another 8 hours for cultivation, namely meditation to contemplate and digest what you learn on the theory part. Number 2, primarily, will be chanting Buddha name as cultivation. So altogether, they spend 16 hours. And by doing so, one have right understanding and proper practice. One put the right philosophy and the theory into practice, and to really see that for yourself, to eventually become enlightened and pure of one's thinking, conduct, and everything. Unfortunately, this can seldom be seen in today's temple or Buddhist universities. The second one is deviated Buddhism, the religious Buddhism. And we have seen so many of that, so it's difficult for us to deny that Buddhism is not a religion, because people come and make offering. They don't do much chanting or cultivation. They don't understand the theory. They don't do what ancient time used to do. They just come here and bow and request for blessing, and that's it. The one that people will criticize, it is a religion. Now we're going to talk about the third one and the fourth one. The third type is also a deviant Buddhism called academic Buddhism. And people treat that as a method to study philosophy, or just to study philosophies, and thinking Buddhism is nothing but a philosophy of Chinese or ancient style. This is incorrect, because original teaching or education of Buddha Dharma is to cover everything, not just the philosophy, psychology, martial arts, and everything, including past time, present time, and future time, including anything that you feel to external phenomena, and nothing to be left out. If you only call that philosophy, it's like a university of instead of a university of all departments, but only a department of philosophy. That's why this is also incorrect. I personally been teaching academic Buddhism for 5 years, but that's not true Buddhism. The last one is very sad. It's called the outer and evil path. I don't even want to call it Buddhism, because it happens only the last 30, 40 years. They utilize the weaknesses and ignorance of human nature, human mind, to take advantage of that and causing problems of the society. They do have some activities and statement sounds very unique and beautiful, but once you become part of their path or organization, you'll feel sorry later on and it's too late. So we must ask ourselves to practice and to learn Buddha Dharma, which one of the four types I want to do. The religious Buddhism, at least, as in general with our religion, to basically teach people to be good and stay out of evil. So that's not too bad. The academic philosophy is also to gain philosophical wisdom, knowledge. It's not that bad. But the last one is really evil and out of path. You can be totally lost. Therefore, we need to examine ourselves. If I'm going to practice Buddha Dharma, which type I should follow? The supreme goal, or the highest goal in Buddhism education, is the proper, equal, and supreme enlightenment. I'm going to explain the different level of this enlightenment. They are religious person and also philosophers who do seize a certain portion of truth about the universe and about life, but their realization is not proper because the vexation still remains and not totally cut off, and the so-called five poisons, the craving desire, anger, delusive thinking or ignorance, and the fourth one, arrogance, and the last one, doubt. And all these so-called five poisons or mental defilements has not been completely eradicated from the mind. Therefore, although they do see a portion of the truth about the universe and life, that's not proper realization. And in Buddhism, for those who has reached this level, cut off five vexations, there's a degree awarded to them. It's called Arahant. That's a degree. And a higher level, and that's the first degree. When you study Buddhism and graduate from Buddhism's university, so to speak, that's the first degree. The next level of degree is called Bodhisattva, and the highest degree is called the Buddha. And now I'm going to explain to you what is corresponding to the second and highest degree. The next level is called equal and proper realization. That is the level of Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva, they have the real mind compared with Arahant. Arahant has seen the mind, but it's still a false mind. It's like a moon still there, but it's not seen directly, yet it reflects from the moon, from the water. Or like a flower reflected from the mirror. It is a flower, but not direct flower, but a reflection of a flower. On the other hand, average people who are not even rich Arahants are using, on a daily basis, a false mind. Therefore, when people say they like you, they love you, don't take too serious, because they are using the false mind. They love you, and tomorrow they divorce you. Why? It's very natural. It's a false mind functioning. If you think it's real, you'll be suffered. For the Arahant, they do see the reflection of the real mind. But still, Bodhisattva has higher level. They are the true real mind. It's called equal realization or enlightenment, but not identical. It is like the moon in the lunar calendar, second few days until the 14th before it becomes completely full moon. The light coming from the moon is real. It is real, just like real mind. However, it's not perfect. And Buddha is real and it's perfect. That's why it's symbolized as a full moon. That is the difference between Bodhisattva and Buddha. Therefore, it's also like similar to the educational system. When you have the first degree, BS degree, it's called Arahant in Buddhism. The second level degree, equivalent to master's degree, is called Bodhisattva. And their mind is real, and there are many levels of Bodhisattva. And then the highest degree in educational system is PhD. That is called Buddha in Buddhism, in traditional true Buddhism. And no matter which level, it is basically to approach to complete realization of the truth and to perfect the wisdom. That is what educational system try to bring people to, or enlighten people about. So we can also say that Buddhism is to cut off all superstitions or delusive thinking and confusion, and to obtain enlightenment or realization. And also Buddhism is to help beings to away from, eliminate all the sufferings and obtain ultimate peace or happiness. Because human beings and all beings as well do not understand thoroughly, properly of all phenomena around the beings. Therefore, they have a misconcepts. They have a wrong thinking, and therefore resulting wrong action. And because wrong action, they suffer the results. They have the resultant suffering. So to eradicate confusion and to become enlightened, it is talking from the Course point of view. And to away from all suffering and obtain peace, serenity, and happiness is from the result point of view. So Buddha Dharma, in summary, it is to tell beings what is real, what is not real, what is proper, what is improper, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. It is to help beings to become completely and totally enlightened, to establish aggressive, is that the right word to translate? Kind of dynamic attitude toward life, and altruistic attitude toward life. Therefore, it is not regressive. It is not retreating from the society. It's not backwards. It is to help beings resolve problems and obtain true and ultimate benefits. It is to help family to obtain harmony, society to obtain peace, and country to obtain stability, and the whole world to reach peace and happiness. Therefore, it is an educational system to reach the real, great, perfect, and beautiful and wise state. That is what the Buddhism educational system tries to do. After understand the purpose of Buddhism education, we're going to talk about what about the teaching of Buddhism, the way to approaches and the educational approaches. What are they? In addition to the purpose, the approaches or the material used is called sutra, which is equivalent to today's textbook used in the classroom. What is the basis of the sutra or textbook. For Mahayana Buddhism, the fundamental basis or the beginning textbook is called Kristigava Sutra, which we're going to cover that for the next few nights and Saturday. And how was it started? It started from bright light, without language, just pure bright light. In the beginning of the Kristigava Sutra, the 10 great lights forms like a cloud, called the bright light cloud of great perfection, the bright light cloud of great wisdom, and the bright light cloud of great prajna, and bright light cloud of great samadhi, until the number 10 is called the bright cloud light of great complement. And it mentioned exactly 10 does not mean it's only 10, because from 1 counting to 10, it means a complete cycle. It means perfection in all aspects. Compared with this one, there is another sutra, also a major textbook in Mahayana Buddhism, the Infinite Life Sutra, described about the Pure Land and Amitabha. It only says Infinite Life Sutra, since only mentioned 1. And this time, this textbook mentioned about 10. But that 1 is really means infinite, because among all the infinities, the infinite money, infinite wisdom, infinite activities, infinite whatever, if you don't have infinite life, how can you accomplish all other infinities? Therefore, the Infinite Life Sutra itself is a complete sutra and teaching. It talks about it just mentioned the most important infinity, the infinity of life. Once you have that infinity, then you can get infinity and perfection of all others. So number 10, or you mention 10, you'll mention 1. And use that as your textbook called Sutra. They all are complete and perfect of itself. And just mention the great perfection, bright light cloud. There is a special method and teaching in Vajrayana Buddhism called the Great Perfection Teaching. This is equivalent to Mahayana Buddhism called Zhen Ru Zhi Xing, the true self-nature. They all deal with the same thing. The Great Perfection means perfected wisdom to the greatest level. Means perfection of compassion to its greatest level, and perfection in every other aspects to its perfected state, and that are not outside oneself, but all contained within, that we all possess. Therefore, this type of education is quite different from worldly educational system and thinking. It is all within your mind. It's all so close to yourself. So after heard so many things about the Buddha Dharma, then if people ask you, what is Buddha Dharma? What does Dharma try to, what kind of Dharma we try to learn? That is the great perfection, the Dharma of great perfection. That's what Buddha Dharma try to help us learn about. Everyone go to work every day very diligently, 5 days a week, some people even more. What is the driving force behind this hard work? If you think about this question, the answer is profit and fame or reputation. Without profit and reputation, most people, maybe 100%, will not go to work every day so hard. Get up early, come back home late. And that is the driving force of the whole society. based upon fame and profits. On the contrary to this, and totally different from that, is Buddha and Bodhisattvas. They do not seek for fame and reputation and profits. And they still try to teach and spread the Dharma very diligently. What is their driving force behind this hard work and effort? That is what the Krishnagarbha Sutra mentioned about the bright light cloud, a great compassion. The answer is great compassion. Like a mother takes care of the baby, not for reputation, not for profit or money. It is a natural, loving kindness compassion. Similar to that, but much more profound and in its depth, is the Buddha and Bodhisattva. They have great compassion and great love. They serve all beings unconditionally. And they manifest themselves in numerous worlds and universe in 10 directions and serve all beings of all kinds unconditionally. So if someone introduces Buddha Dharma to you without reputation, without obtaining gain, without seeking for gain and profit, then he is doing that out of compassion. But if somebody spread Buddha Dharma looking for reputation in order to become famous in the Buddhism community, or come to give you a lecture and charge certain amount of money, then that is business. When I receive a book or notice a book, I first take a look at the back side of the book. If it says there is a patent or copyright, do not duplicate, I will smile and throw the book away. Because if the writer do not has a broader mind and unconditional attitude to serve the human society by looking for fame and reputation, or maybe both, then that book probably do not have the highest value. Why should I bother wasting my energy and time to read it? However, compassion should be established upon rationale or reasoning, and not just emotional of individual's feeling. The compassion, it is said, the compassion is the essence, and expedience and skillful means are the gates. And he also said, compassion, if not done properly, will generate side effects. And skillful means, if not done properly, will causing twisting of causing downward action. And therefore, after the compassion, bright light cloud of compassion, comes the wisdom, bright light cloud. Because compassion without wisdom, then there will be some sorries and the side effects. So the wisdom, bright light cloud, comes after the compassion, bright light cloud. And then in the Krishnagarbha Sutra, after this one, the next bright light cloud is called Great Prajna, bright light cloud. Why Great Prajna? The Great Prajna, there is a statement saying the Prajna has no knowing, and yet it is not without all knowing. It is not without unknowing. So the first one, wisdom, the Prajna of a Prajna without knowing, mention its essence, or so-called body. And then the next statement says, without no knowing, it is its application. It knows everything perfectly well. The second one of knowing everything perfectly well is its application and or function. The first one, prajna, of not knowing, it is the essence, the main body. Through the essence and main body, the ignorance can be completely eradicated, and all vexations lost its base, cannot be drilled. And through the second one, prajna has another nature or aspect, that is without no knowing, meaning it knows everything perfect, and therefore comes the wisdom, which can be used and applied to explain everything perfectly. Therefore, we say prajna, it has two aspects. In the beginning, it is original wisdom, the original wisdom. And then from the original wisdom comes out the later obtained wisdom, which is called wisdom. So that is why we need great prajna cloud wisdom, which is a step further and deeper than the wisdom. However, they are not different from the wisdom, because wisdom coming out of the prajna, the essence. And go back to say, the prajna, which has the capability to eradicate ignorance, where all the vexations is based upon. When the ignorance is gone, then you have perfect your self-nature. And then continue practice. You're going to obtain the later obtained wisdom, and that can be applied and explain the sutra, explain everything perfectly. You have obtained original wisdom. From the wisdom, you explain the phenomenal world. That's also called 后得自有效差别之后. Distinguishing wisdom, be able to tell the differences. In the first, non-distinguishing wisdom, to be able to be in one of the original nature. From there, to be able to distinguish. So there's two stages, and that's all contained in prajna. So the complete and perfect wisdom is symbolized and actually manifested by the bright light cloud of great wisdom and great prajna. But why we do not have that is because we have lost our original enlightened nature. It is not there. It is we just don't see it. It's got clogged. And if we can go back within ourselves, we'll be able to obtain that is always within us. And in practicing Buddha Dharma, there's 3 steps: the precepts, the samadhi, or meditation, and wisdom. Through precepts foundation, one can be obtained the samadhi, which is like 45 things in the middle part, like a seesaw was standing on the point, and that's called what? That's standing point.
River point.
River point, right. The samadhi is the river point. Through the river point, you can obtain wisdom. And that's why, right after the mentioning of the great prajna, bright light cloud, it comes the great samadhi, prajna, great samadhi, bright light cloud. Because the wisdom is coming from the samadhi. And samadhi means the proper perception, or not perception, the proper the proper feeling. In a way, we can say that. The proper feeling means through proper cultivation, body, speech, and the mind are corrected. So all the body, speech, and mind are in the proper track, and then all your feelings are all proper. So the samadhi or meditation do not just belong to Zen Buddhism and Zen practitioners. The Pure Land talk about a single mind of no moving state. That is also samadhi and meditation. Another school in China called Jiaoxia, they're very good in teachings. They talk about 止观, which means stillness and observation. Those two things are combined in one in a well-balanced manner. It is what? No difference in samadhi. And also Vajrayana Buddhism talk about 三密相应, means the three aspects, that is the body, speech, and the mind, are corresponding properly. And how can it be properly corresponding? Only through samadhi. In the proper samadhi, body becomes action of the body becomes proper, speech of the mouth becomes proper, and activity and thinking of the mind becomes proper. No matter there are numerous teachings and numerous schools, in actual practice, the most important thing is pick up one and keep firm to this and do not change your method. Go deeper and deeper through one particular method, and you will eventually obtain the samadhi. The 10 types of bright light clouds, the first 5 refer to the principle. The next 5, from the 6 to number 10, refer to the methodologies. So we talk about number 6, the great auspiciousness, bright light, the cloud of great auspicious bright light. The meaning of auspiciousness literally means you deserve whatever you deserve. If you get something you don't deserve, then it's not auspicious. Something bad will happen because you don't belong. It doesn't belong to you. For example, if you practice Buddha name chanting, and then you obtain the result of being born into Pure Land with infinite life yourself and wonderful, auspicious enjoyment over there. That is auspiciousness. That is what you deserve through your proper practice. In teaching, the teacher gives the best teaching that is in accordance with the truth, and the students obtain the best understanding, the best benefit out of the teaching, then it is also called auspiciousness, because the teacher has done the best part and the student has obtained the best result. So the cloud of great bright light cloud of great auspiciousness is to get all parties involved to reach a perfect state.
这个其次讲到福德，刚才讲了，大吉祥啊是要齐机起理啊，要适合于众生的根基。我们现前的大众念念不忘，心心想追求的，大概第一个是财富啊，智慧、健康、长寿，这是我们眼前呢念念要追求的，这些通通是福德。如果佛要不把这些东西给我们，我要我们学佛，我们都掉头而去了。为什么呢？我眼前想的都得不到，说是来生来世说大福报，来生来世还没到啊，我什么时候能想到啊？所以眼前的这个福利呀，必定可以得到，那我们就相信，哎，将来有更大的福报，这个才能讲得通啊。好像开花结果一样，现在花开的这么美这么好，哎，将来果实一定结得好，我们才会相信嘛。现在花都不开，说将来会结个好果实，这个我们摇头啊，不能相信。 所以借着这个吉祥底下，一定是大福德。大福德怎样才能够得到？福德是果报，果前面一定有修因啊，叫你修什么样的因，会得什么样的果报啊。这我们也留在后面来讲啊。接着呢，讲功德，功德跟福德不一样，福德我们眼前得到的，功德才是真实的。但是你看佛成佛，成佛之后，他都用100劫的时间专门去修福啊。为什么原因呢？没有福报啊，不能度众生啊。你要一说人家看到你没福，谁相信你啊？你说这个大福德是我修得来的，别人看得很羡慕，他就来了，自然就跟你学了啊。所以没有福德不能度众生啊，有智慧还要有福德啊。所以是因戒得定，因定开慧，这个戒定慧3学是属于功德。这是佛法是真正要教给我们的啊。所以前面修福，后面修慧，福慧双修啊。修行一定呢要有方法，方法里面最重要的就是要有一个标准，我们要依靠一个标准。这个标准呢，就是大皈依。这个大皈依不是平常我们讲的这个皈依佛法僧3宝啊，这个大皈依是皈依大圆满的自信啊，是圆满的自信3宝。这个后面也会详细跟诸位同学介绍。最后啊，这是赞叹。赞叹呢，实在讲就是教化众生啊，赞叹自信圆满的功德，赞叹自信无量的功德啊。所以佛教教我们什么？就是教我们要证得圆满的自信啊。这个禅宗常说啊，父母未生前本来面目，你要把这个找到，那个本来面目就是大圆满的自信啊。这是佛法所教，佛法所学，通通以这个为目标，以这个为方向。
The next cloud, bright light cloud is great bright light cloud of blessful or blessing virtue. This basically means the good lucks. Good luck in having wealth, wisdom, health, and longevity. If we practice Buddha Dharma and we cannot obtain these things that we need immediately before every one of us, then who is going to practice so hard? So if one have blessful virtues and good luck, then one will bound to have wealth, wisdom, health, and longevity. However, to obtain this, one needs to follow the proper course and have the proper result. And what is the proper course of this? It therefore leads to the next bright light cloud of meritorious virtue. It means merit in Chinese. It means merit and virtue. The merit is like the input, and the virtue is like the output. With such course will bring such and such results. With precept as the cause and input, the result is samadhi and peace. With samadhi and peace as the course, called as input, then wisdom come out as the result. So with the bright light cloud of meritorious virtue, the blissful virtue will come. And the next two bright light cloud is bright light cloud of great homage. Great homage or great refuge. Take refuge. The refuge of what? Take a refuge in the self nature, the three triple gems of self nature. That is the great homage and great. Is that the noun form called a refuge? Take refuge in, that noun form is called refuge. That is the great refuge cloud. And then the last one is the great cloud of complement. To complement the infinite virtues from the self nature. The self nature of great perfection. I'm going to explain this in detail tomorrow night. In the beginning of Kristigaba Sutra, it mentioned 10 major bright light clouds. The 10, although it's a number, but it really means the infinite and great perfected stage of what? Of the self-nature. It is the perfect stage of the self-nature. From that perfect stage, self-nature, comes out this 10 bright light clouds to simplify all things are perfected. And the first 5 refers to the self-nature and its essence. The next 5 in that 10 bright light clouds refer to its function. As a matter of fact, all sutras and teachings are all coming out of Buddha's complete perfected nature. And every textbook is perfect in its own teaching. The 4 great Bodhisattvas mentioned frequently in Mahayana Sutra, and their relationship between them. The Dijang Pusa Kristigaba Bodhisattva of the Jiuhua mountain in mainland China. And the next one is Guanyin Bodhisattva of Putuosan in mainland China. And then Jusri Bodhisattva in his wave place in the 5-platform mountain of mainland China. And finally is the Puxian Pusa, literally translated as Universal Goodness Bodhisattva of Sichuan Emei Mountain. First we go back to the first Bodhisattva and then explain the relationship between them. The Di Zhang means Kristigaba. Di in Chinese means the earth, the great Mother Earth, which contains everything, which is the great foundation. Zhang means storage of treasure. It contains infinite wisdom, prajna, virtues, and so on and so forth. So Dizang together means our mind is like the great earth that contains great treasures. And that is the foundation of Mahayana Buddhist practice, to follow that example. And what is that? The essence, the beginning practice of Dizang method, and the main teaching of Dizang method is to respect, to love your parents, and respect your teacher and teacher's teaching. That is the beginning of the great perfection. Because one can do this. On the other hand, if one do not love one's parents, how can one respect one's teachers? So to love one's parents and respect the teacher, and then one will be able to learn from teacher with sincerity and have good results. And then expand this one to respect and love all sentient beings in all universe. That's how we are led from Dizang's method into Guanyin's method of great compassion. However, great compassion without wisdom, there can be side effects. So that leads to the next Bodhisattva, Manjushri, who is number one in wisdom. So we got applied wisdom, compassion, and respect in a wise manner. Now that leads to the next level of Manjushri Bodhisattva, Buddha's teaching on wisdom. And then apply wisdom, respect, compassion in every place and every time into actual practice. That brings to the next Bodhisattva and his teaching, the great activity Bodhisattva of universal goodness. And in the sutra it says, if one do not practice universal goodness Bodhisattva's perfect activities, one cannot become Supreme Buddha, obtain Supreme Buddhahood. And that's the relationship in spiritual development until reach the perfect stage of the self-nature. And that starts from the fundamental Dizang Pusa and his teaching. We're going to cover that in the next few nights. Tonight I have covered the purpose of Buddhism education and its basis. Tomorrow I'm going to cover the key notes or the key essence of the practice or the secrets and process of the Buddhism education, such as how to start it, where to start it, what are the major things to start it. We're going to cover that in detail tomorrow, and I'm going to continue this teaching and therefore pay close attention to the whole teaching and perhaps ask any question you may have at the last day, because the teaching sounds simple, but it's very profound and interrelated and make a lot of sense if you put your mind into it.